Okay, good morning. I are taking turns leading the conversation on this book called the Paramī by Ajahn Sucitto. And if you're not in Canmore and can't pick up a copy of this, we have lots of copies. It's available on the Amaravati website. And this is Amaravati in England. There's other Amaravati monasteries around the world. So go to the one in England and you can download. Now, do either of you have this book? You have it? Okay. So. Where is Jonathan? See in Calgary. So last week, I went over the introduction in chapter 1, which was kind of an overview. And today I'm going to talk about the first 3 Paramīs. And again, the Paramīs are 10 beautiful qualities that we want to engender in ourselves. The Buddha had perfected these in himself. And so we want to cultivate them as much as we can. And it's very interesting, like the Buddha never talked about the Paramīs as a list. The list of the Paramīs, which you saw in the chant that Sobhana chanted at the beginning of today's session, that was developed by teachers subsequent to the Buddha who looked at the qualities of the Buddha and made a list of them. But it's very interesting. We've talked a lot about the gradual training, where we have to start with sort of baseline foundational practices, to develop first. And so the first 3 Paramīs exactly correlate with the first 3 steps in the gradual training. And they are generosity, the Pali term is dāna, morality, that's not harming self or others, and the Pali word is sila. And the third is, we can call it simplicity. The other word is renunciation. Letting go of, things that we don't need. And that's called nekkhamma in Pali. So these are the first 3 inclinations of the mind that we need to develop if we wish to experience liberation from suffering. And that liberation from suffering is also known as awakening or enlightenment. And Ajahn Sucitto said something very interesting. He said, we aren't ready to take in the teachings of the Buddha until we can access and feel the validity of generosity, morality, and simplicity within ourselves. So having an intellectual belief in them is not enough. We have to have a gut level feeling of the importance, the necessity of generosity, the importance of morality, not harming self and others, and the importance of simplicity. So generosity and morality are not hard to connect with, but simplicity may be a little more challenging. So it may help to reflect on why so many bad things happen in the world. And it's because people, we want more than we need. And this leads to pollution, like global warming, decimation of resources. When you're wanting something you don't have, it can lead to anger, breakdown in morality and generation, and it leads to wars. And what are wars all about? Wanting things that belong to somebody else. So we practice these paramis for our own welfare, for the welfare of others, and for liberation from suffering. If we don't bring these qualities of mind to our mind frequently, we can just get caught up in our moods and impulses and then end up doing things that later on we're going to negatively judge ourselves about. So it's important that we reflect on these qualities frequently. So perhaps any action that we're planning to take, we can review. Does this have the qualities of generosity and morality, like non-harming to self and others, and simplicity? Or we can look at it in the concept of, is it beneficial for my welfare or beneficial for the welfare of others, or for both? And remember that generosity it's also towards ourselves. It's not just towards others. We can't be just, giving and exhausting ourselves. We need to be taking care of ourselves too. We need to, look at our lifestyle, make sure we're having a balance where we're getting rest and adequate food and, taking breaks, not just doing or giving and burning out. So remember, it's a two-way street, not just for others. It's welfare of self and welfare of others. Ajahn Suchito suggests that, we have a room in our home or a corner of a room that is our meditation space. And so he said, this is a good space to go to when we're reflecting on our actions and reflecting on, does this action, have the qualities of generosity or morality or simplicity? Because if we go into that little place we've carved out as our meditation space, we're associating that with peace and mindfulness. And so being in that kind of a space, helps us to look at those qualities more clearly than we're in a different kind of a space. And another beautiful place to look at these qualities is right here in our meditation group, because we're amongst our Kalyanamitas, our good friends. And so that's a very nice place to reflect on these qualities. Because our friends like us, they have their challenges, their sufferings. They want to be happy just like us, and they make mistakes just like us. So we support each other in our humanness. Ajahn Suchito says that to undo the stress that our minds create, we need to move to a more selfless, less egocentric mode. And this was echoed by Ajahn Punadamo in a Q&A session that I listened to the other day. Somebody had asked him how they could get out of their depression. And he suggested they do some volunteer work to get the focus off of themselves. And I really had this brought home to me 12 years ago when my husband died. It was 3 months before our retirement. So I think I took a month off when he died. And then I had to go back to work, for 2 more months. And I really didn't want to, I was caught up in poor me, my life as I knew it was over. I just didn't have the heart or the energy, to go back for those last 2 months. But I mean, intellectually, I knew I had to go back. I mean, intellectually, I wanted to go back because I've been working with some of these people for years, and I couldn't just abandon them. I needed to go back and say goodbye to sort of finish off. But I really had to drag myself out of the door to that, that first day back to work. And then this amazing thing happened. The first person came into my office. My heart and mind went over to them, to the issues, the problems that they had brought into the session to discuss. So the focus was now off of me and over there. And it was beautiful. Like the last 2 months of my practice they just flew by, and it was easy because this focus of poor me I'd taken it off of there, and my heart opened to somebody else, and then there was no problem. So that was a really, really powerful experience. So that's the first Paramī, generosity. We feel good when we offer a listening ear, or we do an act of kindness, or we donate something that's needed to someone. And we feel good also when we receive the kindness of others. So not only do we feel good, but we develop a beautiful sense of community and support with generosity. Then the second Paramī, morality. This is based on a sense of empathy and makes non-harming a way of life. And the teachings of Buddha and Jesus echo one another. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And our third Paramī is simplicity, renouncing the things that we don't really need. So this happens naturally as pleasure from our meditation practice starts to grow, and also the warm-hearted contact with our Kalyanamitas increases. Because it's a sense of not having or lacking that stimulates craving. So we can reflect on this sense of not having, lacking. And we can reflect on how inadequate acquiring the object of our craving is at removing the sense of not having. You know, how quickly we become bored with it, or it just loses its impact, or if it's something we're eating, like it's gone, you know. So the satisfaction of acquiring is short-lived, and then a new sense of not having something else arises. And we can also reflect on how peaceful the sense of contentment is. So Ajahn Sujito says that these three Paramīs give us a foretaste of the peace, wisdom, and compassion that the Noble Eightfold Path holds for us. Now, what are some other ways that we can work with these three Paramīs? Well, one is just notice what it feels like when you're being generous. You know, whether it's lending a listening ear, or helping out with something, or giving something. Just reflect inside. Take a moment to just feel, what does that feel like to do that? Or the opposite, how does it feel to receive? And it's really important to open ourselves to this, because I know, and I went through the first phase of my life where that didn't seem right to receive. It was okay to give, but it didn't seem right to ask people for help or to receive. And I remember that was another momentous experience in my life when I actually got up the courage to ask somebody for some help. And then I was just shocked to see the sort of relief that this person had, because it doesn't feel good if you're in a relationship and one person's just giving. You have this feeling of being in debt. It's much kinder in a relationship when it's a two-way street and you're sort of, each person is giving and taking. And that's not how I operated for the first quite a few years of my life. You know, it didn't, I don't know, somehow I had the idea that I shouldn't be taking, just giving. And And then I just realized that was a nasty thing to do to people. It's not good. Yeah, so opening ourselves up to receive and to let yourself feel how good that feels. Another thing we have to be careful about in the Paramī of morality is we certainly want to avoid moralizing or righteousness. Because this involves sort of a judgmental attitude towards others. So if we need to say something to another person, about their morality, Ajahn Sucitto says, try and think of them like as your child or as a really loved family member or very good friend that you really care about deeply, so that you're making your comments or whatever it is you're feeling you need to say from a really profound sense of loving kindness, loving friendliness, not from a sense of judgment, deep sense of caring. Another exercise that Ajahn Sucitto suggested was, say there's an insect that's buzzing around you or annoying you or crawling towards you, and maybe you have an impulse to stomp on it or something. He said, pause, ask yourself, does this insect want to die? And is its death really necessary for you to live well? Maybe reflect on that. We can also reflect on when we have kind of strong reactions to drivers on the road, a noisy person, somebody you fear. Just really notice what this feels like. And then if you're able to let go of that reaction, how does that feel? Another way to look at our unwholesome reactions is from the viewpoint of a caring friend. What would a caring friend say to us about this? Or what would they say was the most important behavior that we have that maybe needs to be changed? Another thing to reflect on is our speech. Are we gossiping? Are we slandering others? Is there anger in our speech? Because I think this is the commonest way that most of us break the precept is through speech. So these are some suggestions on how to work with these first three paramis: generosity, morality, and simplicity. And they're the foundation for all the others. So that was all I had to say from, that's chapter 2 in the book. So I'll open it up now for discussion. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really love the translation of nekkhamma as simplicity. It's much more inviting and super easy to relate to.
The renunciation.
And renunciation, yeah. Has quite a I think quite a almost monastic. You think you need to become a monastic, and I don't think you do. I think you can make a very simple lay life. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, basically everything that we're doing is like simplifying, trying to simplify our thought life. That's a big area of renunciation, of simplicity, that we can practice while we're meditating. Think of, do I need to be thinking about this? No. Yeah. it can be renunciation. You know, it's lovely to take these into our meditation. Ajahn Brahm talks about when he's going to meditate that he thinks of it as his dāna. His dāna to everything, right? His dāna to himself, his dāna to the Buddha, his dāna to others. And he said it really helps with the clicking the mindset to, like, meditation is an act of giving, not an act of, you know, so often we're trying to get farther, get quieter, you know, we can take our craving and our getting into our meditation and into our practice. Yeah, so he said he often will be bowing and he's thinking, you know, this is my dāna. I'm going to give my attention. I'm going to give my time. I'm going to give my energy, give my aspirations right now to the meditation.
I love the word simplicity over renunciation also.
This is so that people on Zoom can hear you.
I feel comfortable
Oh,
with sharing it.
okay. I won't put the camera on you.
No.
You have to touch it on your chin here.
Do you mind if I just bring the chair up?
No.
Yeah, go
no,
bring
no.
a chair up. Yeah. Here, take the third one. Okay, that's good.
It's okay.
Yeah. Up here on your chin.
Yeah, so simplicity is a better word than renunciation, because renunciation implies that we're giving things up, that we are taking things that we. Simplicity is just a better word, and it implies minimalism to me.
Mhm.
And minimalism is a genuine and a conscious act of sorting through the objects that you have and keeping those that are valuable and putting away the ones that don't serve you. So there's a website out there called The Minimalists. So if anybody's interested in that topic, it's a great resource. And it's basically two guys that discovered how to do minimalism in their life. And they started a website and a series of resources to help people do it. So as an example, they have 3 shirts in their closet instead of 30 shirts in their closet. And to your point on Tuesday night, there's a lot of cognitive loading that comes from decision making. So if you only have like a blue shirt, a red shirt, and a green shirt to decide from when you wake up in the morning, you've got so much more freedom within your mind. So these are one of the principles that they talk about, is reducing the number of choices, reducing the number of objects in your life, which ties in really well with what you talked about, this idea of simplicity.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay.
Yeah, Ayakema, in one Dhamma talk, she says, you know, there is no end to more. You know, and this whole idea of getting more. Your point, you know, how long does that satisfaction last? As when you become a meditator and start to really examine it, you realize, oh, it's the actual pursuit of the object is what's juicy. Then when you get the object, you know, then the mind goes on to the next. And I'll experience that in meditation. You know, it's very easy during meditating to click into what you're going to do next. You know, I'm going to get up and, you know, my mind will go there. Or even, you know, come to a place of some, you know, ease, and then you want then you want it to be even easier, you know. I really noticed this on the retreat with Beth Upton in Quebec. I was experiencing some releases in the body and some ease, and yet I was not satisfied. But if I beamed myself back to myself a year ago, I was thinking, if I was having the experiences that I was having right then, I would be happy. Then I started to have those experiences, and because that's the way craving works, you know. Yeah.
That's ironic.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. I remember the first time I had it was I was at Birkin, brand new meditator, and so much pain in my body, like so much pain. And I remember thinking, when is that? I won't say what I actually thought. When is that bell gonna ring? You know, I just in agony. And then this thought, as soon as that bell rings, I'll be happy. And then I realized, well, that's garbage. I won't be happy. I'll be out of this particular pain, but I'm not suddenly, you know, a bell's gonna ring and I'm so happy. I'm such a happy person. So anyway, it was an important insight at the time, you know. And that's what craving is doing all the time. The Buddha's talking about it. You know, it's fooling us all the time. That's where the ignorance and the delusion is part of it.
I was talking to my son last night. My son did a Vipassana retreat some time ago, and I was talking to him last night about it, and I was considering doing one in January. And he said, I said, what was it like? He said the first 7 days were all pain, and then the last 3 got better. And you know, he told stories similar to what you just said, that there was a lot of it was just hard, like his body ached. And he was actually sick at the time that he wasn't feeling well. So yeah, just wanted to echo that there's a lot of, you know, the meditation process has craving sort of embedded in it.
Yeah.
And just before I get to you, Sarah, I just want to say that when I first started meditating about, you know, over 30 years ago, there was this idea, sit down and no matter what you feel, don't move. And so we ended up sitting through a lot of pain. And none of my teachers are saying that anymore. They're just saying, take care of your body, you know, wiggle around at the beginning and get yourself in as comfortable a position you can, not a position where you're going to fall asleep, but, you know, take care of your body. And then if you know, if it's minor little aches and pains that arise, you can let them go. But if it's major pain, like get up and change your position, do walking meditation or lie down or change your posture. Like don't, you know, we don't have to torture ourselves. So, I mean, they certainly were teaching that over 30 years ago, but not anymore. Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, when you were speaking about simplicity, you said that it's a sense of lack that leads to craving. And
Yeah, go ahead. That was a new thought. So simplicity is not a sense of lack.
No, but you were just when you were speaking about the simplicity virtue, you said that a sense of lacking can lead to craving.
Yes.
Yeah. And it made me think that I've spent an awful lot of time acquiring stuff, trying to make up for my childhood. Like we had very, very little. And so I thought if I had a nice house and if I had nice clothes and if I on and on and on. And I'm wondering how do you come to terms with lacking in your childhood in a healthier way, in a better way. I felt like I had to create what I didn't have in order to realize that it wasn't that important, and then I need to get rid of it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I just am still struggling with how to create that sense of balance, so I feel like I'm well taken care of. I'm taking care of myself, but I don't have more than I need.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like it happens naturally when we deepen our meditation practice and we start getting these, just really beautiful feelings that come just from cultivating our mind. And they so outweigh the pleasures that we get from the sensory world pleasures. And so it sounds like you're coming, like if you're at the stage where you're wanting to let go of things, then you're starting to develop that. Yeah, because we don't want to get into the position where when we're not ready to give up something and we're just trying to force ourselves to give it up because we think we should give it up. We don't want to, be in that position, because that sort of is a go nowhere situation. How to do it faster? I don't know. I mean, certainly my meditation practice has helped me a lot in this endeavor.
I guess it's just like wanting to meditate better. I need to be more patient and believe in the process.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it comes. Yeah.
So does anybody have any ideas of how to let go faster?
I do.
Okay, here, Scott's got an idea for us.
Sorry, I don't mean to dominate.
Yeah, that's
No, it's
fine.
fantastic, Scott. Appreciate it.
Here's an idea to help you sort through those things that you genuinely need and want from those things that you don't. Pretend that you're moving out of your house and take every object in your house and put it in a box. And then continue on with your life. And as you continue on with your life, you'll have to go to certain boxes and unpack things that you need. Like you're going to need a pot to cook, and you're going to need clothing to wear. At the end of 3 months, everything that's left in the boxes, get rid of.
That's Leslie.
Yeah.
I think Sarah and I are at a similar stage in life.
Mhm.
I have cleaned up after the death of my mother and the death of my husband.
Mhm.
And I moved 3 times in 1 year last year. You begin to look at things from the eyes of your survivors and think, what would my kids do with this? Is this really something that I want to leave behind? Is this really something I need for my life right now? I am going to die. I am going to leave a mess behind me. Let's minimize the mess. Try and keep it simple. I noticed when I moved into my own place for the first time in my life, a place that was just mine, that I acquired a lot more junk than I really needed. And I've spent a lot of time in the last year since I did that, getting rid of a lot of this junk. It somehow, there was a craving to acquire, to get comfortable, thinking that I could get comfortable by buying. Didn't need to do that, and I'm learning that now, recovering from it. But I've always tried to live a simple life. My husband and I tried to keep things simple. That was one of our principles. And so I'm getting back into that principle again, and it's very helpful. But I noticed that what comes up in my meditation, the thoughts, the monkey mind thoughts, are usually about what to do next, what to get next.
Mhm.
Still craving, still unsimplifying. So it's helpful, really very helpful to use that word as a renunciation.
Very.
And to discover that that's what I need to do. I really need to follow the impulse to simplify.
Oops, sorry. Took the wrong thing.
Yeah. And one other thing, I think, Sarah, that you are, I mean, you said it so beautifully, you know, that there was this experience in childhood, and this is invariably, you know, we very often do this. I think this is why so much of the Buddha's teachings is about balance and finding the middle way. You know, this is just so what the human mind does. You know, there was very little, and so we, you know, we're very strict, and grew up very strict, and we get rebel. You know, this is. So I think what you did was very natural and normal, and the other thing is that all of us have been inundated very, very, very purposefully. It's how a capitalist consumer society operates, that we've been sold this bill of goods that we need all these things, you know, the media, I mean, is very calculated. There's a profound documentary called The Century of the Self. And it goes way back to the whole 20th century, but right back to the Depression, and then the people, it was very, very calculated, very deliberately wanting to move people from moving their wants up to their idea that they think it's their need. So, you know, and this is again the Buddha's teachings, that we are not these separate selves. You know, we are the product of the conditioning, what's gone in. It's made a lasting imprint and impression on our consciousness, our minds, our psyche. So, but I think what's profound is that you have a very strong personal experience of that it wasn't true. It didn't work. It didn't fill the lack, you know, and that's really, that's hard-earned, well-earned wisdom that you have, that you can rest into. And so then you can start to maybe investigate what other things were lacking. You know, clearly, like some maybe basic needs being met, you know, even food and, you know, things, but then probably there's other, you know, psychological things, and those you could, you know, gently just pop those questions, float them by your heart, and you might get in touch with them, and then those could be met. And you know, there can be things from childhood that we just didn't, maybe those messages were there, that we were cared for and valued and loved, but somehow just the constellation, it didn't go in, or it didn't go in deep enough, or whatever, you know. And this is part of our meditation, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the things I bring to mind often when I'm doing my meditation is, you know, back in my working days, Andre and I did several beach holidays, you know, and so this is considered sort of the culmination, right? You work hard, you save your money, and then you get to go on a holiday, you know, and there you are lying on this, you know, warm beach. But in my meditation practice, I just notice how I get the exact same feeling when I'm sitting and watching my breath, and especially watching my breath, because there's sort of this ebb and flow. So it's exactly like lying on a beach and hearing the waves come in and out. That's kind of like my breath. And then it's even better because on the beach, you know, sometimes the sun goes behind a cloud and you feel chilly, or there's sand flies that annoy you, or people are being noisy, playing football beside you or something. And so I just feel like, oh, this is like free. I don't have to travel, and it's even better. And, you know, this is why people work, so they can go on a holiday or have time off. And here I'm getting it every day in my meditation practice.
I like that.
Yeah, this is so significant if we can get to that place where our meditation practice is like, and it can happen, you know, is like really, really feeding us, you know. And Beth Upton frames meditation as a relationship, that we're having a relationship with our meditation object. And Sanghamitta, obviously, you know, it's the breath. That's her meditation object, and the breath. And it's going to be different for everyone. But the breath is become something that's very calming and relaxing and pleasant. And it was really cool. In one of the group interviews when we were in Quebec, there was a person who had done lots of the preliminary work and was at the point of beginning to have a relationship with their meditation object, and it was the breath, but it didn't mean much to them. They weren't, it just didn't at that point. And so Beth opened it up for all the people that had that as their meditation object to share. And I mean, the things that got shared, you know, people found it refreshing, they found it simple, they found it reliable, found it, you know, nurturing, life-giving. One woman said it's better than anything else, you know, going on. It was really lovely to hear. And it was a great deal of variety, how meaningful people's relationship with their breath was. Yeah.
Okay, any last momentous things before we close? We're closing.
Are we doing appreciative joy? Because I want to share some joy before we close, if not.
It was actually the guided meditation on letting go, but to do.
Okay, well, I just want to share something because you brought it up about the fly in the metta thing. And
Yeah.
I've been practicing, like, I've been using metta as like my object, just like moving around life. And the other morning, like, there's been a fly that lives in my house for a few months now. And the other day, the first time I noticed it move, my first thought was, hey, bud. And I was like, man, this shit's working. So I just want to share that. No malice whatsoever.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, so this is the closing that we only get to do when we have a fifth Friday or a fifth Tuesday. So it's the guided meditation on letting go that was created by one of Thich Nhat Hanh's students. So breathing in, I see the need I have to control my life. Breathing out, I let go of the need to control my life. Breathing in, I see that control is an illusion. Breathing out, I relax in my inability to control. Breathing in, I see how critical I am of myself. Breathing out, I let go of the need to be critical. Breathing in, I see all the goodness in me. Breathing out, I relax in the knowledge of the goodness in me. Breathing in, I see the many ambitions I have for myself. Breathing out, I let go of the many ambitions I have for myself. Breathing in, I see that I am sufficient in all ways. Breathing out, I relax in knowing that I am sufficient in all ways. Breathing in, I see that I crave many things. Breathing out, I let go of the need to crave many things. Breathing in, I see that I have enough. Breathing out, I relax in the knowledge that I have enough. Breathing in, I see that I am too busy. Breathing out, I let go of the need to be too busy. Breathing in, I want a less hectic life. Breathing out, I relax in the quiet of this moment. Breathing in, I see that letting go can make me free. Breathing out, I am free. Breathing in, I see that by being free, I can be happy. Breathing out, I am happy. May the merit of our practice be shared with all sentient beings, named and unnamed. Where these, Tim, Agnes,
Eric, Savannah, Ruth,
may all beings be well and happy. Thank you, everyone. I guess we'll see you in the new year next Friday. And then on that Friday, I'll be going up to Edmonton with and we'll see Sarah.
Oh, meditation is all about simplicity.
yeah,
Yes.
isn't it? Perfect. So amazing. That's great.
All simplicity. The theme for the-
Theme going into 2023.
Yep, absolutely.